What's up, guys? Welcome again to another episode of the Beyond the Athlete podcast. This is a new episode, and for today, you do have a special guest, which is me, your host, Coach David. I wanted to do something different today, guys, because one thing I realized about podcasting is consistency is key, and there's going to be so many times where we may not have guests per week. So it'll be a great opportunity for you guys to hear from me. The way I want this to kind of go on is by eventually getting all of our listeners and people who watch our videos, our episodes on YouTube, to be able to ask questions, and I can answer them on this forum as well. And that's my way of kind of interacting with you guys, other than when I'm just with a guest. So this is our time, myself and you all. So where do I want to start? I wanted to start from the beginning. And then over the next few episodes that will come in between interviews with guests, I will sort of kind of expand on various topics within the world of sports, within the world of Beyond the Athlete, what we do as well, and what we have upcoming also. So for me, I would say I'm going to start from this whole podcasting journey. Actually, I will start from the basketball journey first. As you guys may know from my first few episodes, basketball is my favorite sport, but I do like other sports. I'm into American football, into football or soccer for you guys in the States. I'm also into things like tennis. I'm into boxing, athletics, you name it, basically. I'm actually a new fan of paddle. Something I'm obviously trying to get my hands on and learn a bit more about as well. But I'm into every single sports. And for me, sports has always been a part of my life from when I was younger, alongside fashion. And it's something that I've always had admiration for. And I've always been a competitive person, even down to the lowest thing as bowling, basically. So where do I start from there? When I started Basketball Nation, which is a community basketball organization that I run here in London, we also have a branch in Manchester as well. But when I started that, it was not really something that I planned on doing. I had been playing basketball from about the age of sort of like 15, 16. When I came, this is a few years after I came into the UK, but I played a little bit, but I was not that good when I was in Nigeria when I was younger. And so when I started playing, I always had that idea of, okay, cool. I'm gonna go to the NBA. I want to play in the NBA. That's what every kid dreams of when they start playing basketball, because that's who we watch basically. And my favorite player at the time and now, who has always been Kobe Bryant, based on just his journey, being not such a superhuman, but creating and building himself into sort of like a superhuman per se, in terms of what he did on the court and off the court as well. And then yeah, 2 years ago, Basketball Nation started just from an opportunity that I was able to get some of my guys that played against one of the young guys that we encountered through an event. He brought his guys, I brought my guys, and then we just decided, you know what, we had 20 people there, and you know what, this is going to be something that's just that we need to do basically for the community. Growing up, I always had to pay for indoor courts. I said, let me create something that a lot of these young guys don't have to do, and they can just come and play and also develop as well. So that was sort of my way to give back to the game of basketball, what it kind of gave to me over the years, in terms of like the discipline, being competitive, being a doer, and so many other things that I've learned in terms of like working as part of a team and even being a true leader as well. And since then, we've just had this amazing journey, and that journey hasn't been easy. A lot of people may look at the social media posts and they may look at me and think, oh yeah, everything is hunky dory and everything's good. But there was a lot of struggle during that time. There's so many times I actually wanted to give it up. There's so many times where I will book a session I don't want to actually go to it, because I just felt demotivated, like, well, like nothing's really happening. But one thing that always stuck to me is I never started this for myself. I started this to help people, to support people, support the young guys and girls who love the game that we love, and beyond that as well. And one of the things that really pushed me was being able to be consistent, and also understanding that me helping the next person will also create a chain reaction, for them to help the next person. So it was always about me starting something that will create a chain reaction that goes on for as long as it can, pretty much. And when we started, obviously good times, we didn't have a lot of money, a lot of funding for it. We were doing things like I was doing ironing jobs, part-time jobs, just to get cash for that week to pay for the court. Sometimes we would do car boot sales. Some of my friends that worked will kind of put together some funds together. I'll put some in there as well, so we can actually pay for the court. But at the same time, we were also giving out vouchers to the player of the session or the team of the session, and this was like maybe £100, £200, 150, wherever we had at the time, basically. And we did this for a while until we had to find more ways to make resources and grow resources and to put back into what we're doing. And really and truly, some people might give up once they realize, oh yeah, there's no money for this. Like, what the hell do I do? But one thing that we realized, especially in 2023, which was, I would say, one of our hardest times so far, was that we said, you know what? Okay, we may not be able to do sessions, but how can we continue to inspire and interact with the community? And one of the things that we thought of doing was now building relationships with brands like New Balance Team Sports and Red Bull. Okay, how can we now get them to even work with us in different avenues? So that's when we started doing things like live streaming. So I learned how to use the camera. How to set it up through some of the guys that I work with, doing live streaming at Imperial College, and then also starting another thing, which was the podcast, Beyond the Athlete. And that started off because I really wanted to communicate and speak to a lot of the people within the sports industry, whether as creative, whether it's as an entrepreneur, whether it's as someone that works for an organization like the NBA, the Zone, Sky Sports, the NFL, Nike, Adidas, etc. And for me, that's what I wanted to do. It was came off a as a selfish idea, basically, but it worked eventually. And then what I realized is that, oh wow, this podcast is also me showing a lot of the guys that come to our session, of the guys that watch our content on social media, that listen, I may be a basketball player, but I can also do X, Y, Z. And they can see that someone that's just started can actually make things happen. So I wanted to show the possibility of things, but I also wanted to build a library of knowledge when it comes to the journeys that people have taken, and what the future looks like, and also how people have done what they've accomplished as well, the strategies behind it, the minds behind it. And for me, that's what it ended up becoming, and it still is now as well. So obviously, there's going to be a lot of people that will say no, a lot of people that will not even reply back to you. But one thing I realized is that from basketball, even when you miss a shot, you keep taking shots. You keep taking shots until you make it. That might be a bad advice. Some coaches, that might be a bad advice actually, because some coaches will say after you make maybe like 3 or 4 shots, if you miss it, you better pass the ball to someone that can make it, or you get put back on the bench. But in this instance, I just kept going and going and going. I will stay up to 5 a.m., emailing everyone, going on LinkedIn, messaging everyone, Instagram, messaging everyone, just trying to get people to come on as a guest. And lo and behold, some people said yes, and some people said no. Some people actually replied and said, unfortunately, they don't have time for it. So it's always going to be that kind of journey, and it still is now. And for me, I actually enjoy the pressure and the setbacks, because it allows me to kind of think a bit more innovative and also think outside the box. Okay, what can I do next to make this happen? And it's quite interesting because growing up, I was always someone that never started something and finished it. But I think over time, the way sports has impacted me and taught me is that you have to finish things to the end. You can't just leave things unfinished. And that's something that I've been drilling into myself over time. And I'm also going to mention consistency as well, because I was never consistent. And which is why this episode is quite important to me, because one of the things that I did say to myself is that I don't want a week to go by where I have not spoken to you guys, whether it's with a guest or without. So if there's 3 weeks of no content and I've posted something 3 weeks before, that's not me serving you guys. That's not me serving the people. So this is my way of saying, okay, this has happened now. I've kind of realized what I'm doing wrong. Let me correct it. Let me serve the people with what I want, what I'm producing, and not keep it to myself. So which is why I'm here today speaking. And one thing I will say is that this journey is still quite fresh. It's still quite new. One thing that I want to keep doing, I would say, is getting to know you guys and being able to answer certain questions, but also bringing a lot of amazing guests for you guys to hear from as well. I know some of you listen to us on Spotify, Amazon Music, and all these listening platforms, but maybe sometimes maybe try and go on YouTube and actually see the visuals of who we're speaking to as well. I've always been a big fan of podcasts. I used to listen to a lot of, I still do now, but I used to listen to a lot of podcasts before actually starting it as well. Listen to Business of Fashion, um, which one? Joe Rogan as well. Some really undercover ones, but episodes mainly that I can't even remember. But I listen to a lot of fashion ones really. And it used to be my way of learning. I never used to be good at reading books, and I could never concentrate on reading books. But podcasting actually helped me to read books as well. Um, I remember my first episode. It was in my friend's house. I'm not going to mention the name. The wall was dripping with because they had a leak in there. We had wires all over the floor. Our first ever logo, which I created on Canva, was on the screen, and we were seeing me and the guests were sitting face to face with each other, and the mics that we had on the desk weren't working. So what we did, we hid the actual mics in our tops and our jackets that we're speaking through, but we used those other podcast mics as props. And that was the first that was the first episode. We never released it, but that was the first episode that we did. And it's so interesting how we've gone from there to here. But it also made me realize that, you know what, sometimes you can never be, I'm saying never be ever, never be perfect. Perfection doesn't really take you anywhere. Sometimes it delays you, but you can perfect things over time. And that's something that I've learned along this journey. Um, I don't want to make this long. I actually want to make this quite short for you guys to actually go back and listen to. But what's to come from from this episode and beyond is we're going to have some amazing guests. We're going to have some amazing conversations with you guys. But I really want to be able to interact with you guys. So I want you guys to actually send us an email if you can. The email will be at the bottom, which is info@beyondtheathletepod.com, info@beyondtheathletepod.com, or on Instagram at Beyond the Athlete Pod. Send us your questions. Let us know what you would like to know, what sort of guests you would like to see. If you would like to also come on and have a conversation, maybe we can do a live conversation with some of our audiences that watch us and listen to us as well. I'm really up for that. Anything that you guys want, do let us know via email or via Instagram as well, and we can take it from there. But I'm not gonna take too long on this, and I hope to see you guys and speak to you guys soon. This has been amazing. This is new for me. More to come. So yeah, Coach David out. Speak to you guys soon. And obviously, like usual, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and subscribe to our listening platforms as well. And yeah, just get in touch with us. Take care, Coach David out. Peace.